This Old House Radio Hour is supported by the Home Depot. You know, all year long on This Old House, we focus on the build, the fix, and the renovation. But this time of year, this is when we get to focus on the magic. The holidays aren't just a season, they're a collection of moments, both simple and grand. And at the Home Depot, they understand that our homes are where those moments truly come to life. They're our go-to partner for all things home, especially during the holidays. And right now, Black Friday is happening at the Home Depot. This is our chance to bring that magic home. They have a huge assortment of dazzling pre-lit trees. And you know what we appreciate as doers? Smart design. Many have quick connect technology, so setup is just a few clicks. It means less time prepping and more time making memories. Hurry in for Black Friday, happening now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
The Who's down in Who Newville were making their list, but some didn't know Walmart has the best brands for their gifts.
What about toys? Do they have brands kids have been wanting all year?
Yep, Barbie, Tony's, and Lego. Gifts that will make them all cheer.
Do you mean they have all the brands I adore?
They have Nintendo, Nespresso, Apple, and more.
What about...
So the Who answered questions from friends till they were blue. Each one listened and shouted, from Walmart? Who knew? Shop gifts from top brands for everyone on your list in the Walmart app.
How do you know if you're covered when the next disaster strikes? It's This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM, American Public Media. I'm Jen Largis. What home or renter's insurance do you really need? And how to keep it affordable?
One of the subtleties to look for is things like, if a tree does fall through my roof, is this policy going to pay to replace the entire roof or just the damaged portion?
You don't need a big house or a big bank account to live a rich life. The writer Rachel Kushner shares the lessons she learned growing up in a tiny bungalow in Eugene, Oregon.
There was this feeling of abundance in Eugene. Even living in a financially precarious situation, our lives was really filled with beauty.
Without the right exhaust fan, your bathroom could be growing mold. We help you choose the right one for your home. All of this, plus we're answering your home improvement questions at 877-864-7460. Coming up next. It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. When is the last time you looked at your homeowner's or renter's insurance policy? It turns out the average policy rose about 20% in 2024. With storms getting worse and the building costs through the roof, we asked NerdWallet's Holden Lewis to join us with simple ways to check your coverage, avoid gaps, and keep your home protected without blowing your budget. So Holden, how often should you check your renter's or homeowner's insurance policy?
I say do it every year. When it comes time to renew, check that policy. Just make sure that you are covered adequately. The main thing you're checking for is the dwelling coverage. How much the insurance will pay if the house is destroyed. It might cost more to rebuild than the actual market value, but what you want is dwelling coverage that will actually pay to rebuild the house, and you really don't want to have a gap there.
So what are the most common home insurance policies available?
When you own a home, there's a standard policy. It pays for most things. It pays for fire. It pays for damage caused by hail, a burst pipe. The two most common are the HO3 and the HO5. Now, the HO3 is just going to do kind of your basic coverage for things like your personal belongings, the current value. So it's not going to pay for the retail price, but just the depreciated value of those things. Now, an HO5 will actually pay for replacement. And of course, you are paying extra for that HO5 policy for that reason. And then on top of that, there are additional policies that cover things that a standard homeowner's policy doesn't pay. And really, the two main things there are flooding caused by rising water and earthquakes.
Is there a specific tool or way that people could easily sort of document the things that are in our home and the valuable items?
For really valuable items, you have had that appraised and have a copy stored with that appraiser. But walking around your house with your video, on your phone and just narrating, I'm walking around my house on October 4th and a hurricane is bearing down and I'm walking around the exterior and I'm walking around the interior and I'm just showing what is in this house. That's always a valuable thing to do.
And maybe making sure that file is saved somewhere other than a computer inside your house.
It's really a good idea to save that to the cloud.
Yep.
Or just even email it or text it to someone.
Absolutely. So how can we find the best rates available?
There's a number of ways to do that. For most people, the best thing to do is to go to an insurance agent or an insurance broker. And an insurance broker is someone who has relationships with multiple insurance companies, and they can basically shop for a policy for you. And then there's also just agents who work for one company. Now, one thing is you're not only shopping on the price, you are shopping on the coverage, because a lower priced policy might not have exactly the same coverage as a higher priced policy. And when you investigate it, you might decide, oh, I really would like this more fully featured policy that maybe has higher dwelling coverage, for example.
So when it comes to people who live in a condo or an apartment complex, do they have nuanced plans like homeowners?
Yes, there are renter's insurance, and that mostly covers the contents of your apartment. And then condo insurance, that will pay for just the part of the condominium that you own.
Yeah, and knowing what's in your association's master policy so that you're supplementing properly, I'm sure is very important.
It's a lot of research to do, but a lot of money is at stake too.
Are there any things that we can do in our homes to help keep our rate lower?
There are a number of things, like here in South Florida where there's hurricanes, you can make sure that your home has what are called hurricane straps that hold the roof down if high winds start trying to pick it up. If you live in a place that is vulnerable to flooding, you could raise the house. Now that's really expensive, but some people do it. Or at the very least, you can elevate your appliances, like your outdoor air conditioning compressor, your washer and dryer. And if you live in a place that is prone to wildfires, you can landscape the house so that you don't have shrubbery right up against the house. You can buy ember-resistant vents and all sorts of things to limit the amount of damage that would happen. And if you do those things, you might be able to get a lower premium.
So what are maybe some of the other additional coverages that you think would be worth considering?
There are endorsements that you can add to your insurance policy for things like, let's say you have a Stradivarius violin. You can get an endorsement that is actually part of your home policy, but it covers just that violin. So you would have to have it appraised, and you would just basically pay a surcharge, an extra bit of coverage for that. You know, you can do that with other kinds of valuables.
When you are thinking about filing a claim, the biggest concern is that it's going to lead to a higher premium. So what's the best way to determine if pursuing a claim justifies a potential rate increase?
Yeah, you can call your insurance company and say, hey, a tree just fell through my roof. What would be my payout? How much would this cost to make this repair out of pocket? And how much at least do I fear my insurance premiums would go up if I file a claim instead of just paying for the whole thing out of my pocket? And that's a judgment call. And that kind of brings up another issue that when you're shopping for insurance, one of the subtleties to look for is things like, if a tree does fall through my roof, is this policy going to pay to replace the entire roof or just the damaged portion? It really is a good idea to not only read the policy, but interrogate the agent just to find out the things that you are most worried about. Are you worried about a pipe bursting and then mold grows inside your walls? Ask that question. The agent will be able to tell you, will fixing the mold damage be covered? And if not, is there something extra you can pay? It's really a matter of thinking about what's most valuable to you and what your fears are. Over time, you might just compile a whole bunch of those questions. And then when it's time to buy a policy or to renew, you can ask.
Great advice. Holden, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you. It was a pleasure.
If you're looking to switch your home or renter's insurance, or you just need a quick refresher, you can find our Home Insurance 101 guide at thisoldhouse.com. Right now, we answer your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Malika Teofil.
Malika, where are you calling from?
Paris, California.
Excellent. What's your question today?
So my question is, I moved into a new development in a somewhat rural area, but it is kind of, growing like a little modern city too. So it's a cross. But there was a bunch of birds recently over the last 2 years that have just been staying on my house. I noticed it's the larger house. Well, I'm in a 2-story. It's not that large, but I'm in a 2-story. So there's, a 1-story, a 2-story, a 1-story, like that, And on all the ones that are 2-story, it's like the birds, the pigeons, they just live on our house. I'm wondering, what must I do to get these things off my house?
Oh, my goodness. Well,
I just can't take that humming. Yeah.
To help answer your question, I have Zach Detmore, a general contractor for the show. Zach, you ever had a pigeon problem?
Well, as someone who was born in Manhattan, I recently had pigeons move in to the area between my solar panels and my roof, and I just ignored it because they're pigeons and I'm used to them. But they do make an incredible amount of ruckus up there, don't they? Especially in the morning, right?
They do, yeah.
But I honestly never tried to get rid of them. I was just like, wow, this is part of living near the city. So I just, but I've been told that they are very hardy birds, but they don't like strong smells. But unfortunately, that would involve you getting up on your roof and dumping, peppermint oil or garlic or chili or something all over the roof. So
it's a whole different problem.
It's yeah. I don't have any experience with it. Put it that way. What do you got, Jen? Save me here. I'm drowning in a pigeon catastrophe.
No, I'm wondering if you do call a professional, I'm wondering if they can install something, either, the wires or the spikes, something that sort of deters them from landing in that area.
That's a thought. So there's a company that are people that do deal with pigeons like this. I didn't know there was somebody else.
They do all sorts of pests.
Yeah. I mean, a pest is a pest, right?
Squirrels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Giraffes.
No, that's not on the list.
Oh,
Zach,
sorry.
no.
Wrong call.
Yeah. I have pest control already. So we got that under control.
Yeah. These are people. Sometimes you'll have, rodents that jump from trees like squirrels, and then they'll move into your attic. So they'll put these sort of one-way doors in so that they can escape, but they can't get back in again. So there are professionals that do this. So, wow, Jen, you've solved it.
Well,
call someone.
Okay, so this is not a solution for Malika, but when we were on vacation, the pigeons were a huge problem near, the outdoor eating areas. And so they actually brought in a bigger bird that would, basically the whole perimeter, the pigeons and smaller birds would stay away because they were scared of this big bird. So I'm wondering if you can just get,
You're talking about the one from Sesame Street? That big bird?
No, not that big bird. I'm talking about I can't remember what kind of a bird it was. It was large.
Like a bald eagle?
Yeah, it was like the, apex predator.
An emu stomping around the restaurant.
But you know how some people put an owl out on their raft or something on a lake to keep
I've seen that.
Yeah, something just that, there's another bird present, so they kind of find a different spot to hang out, and that might help. But I would check in with a professional. They're going to have some solutions for you that we definitely have not covered here today.
Yeah, my second idea was to train them as carrier pigeons to send your mail, and then you'll be saving money on stamps. I don't know. I don't really know the process with that, but, I'd look into that because maybe you have this whole side hustle you're not even aware of.
Thank you.
All right, Malika, we appreciate the call.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Coming up, we answer more of your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. It's This Old House Radio Hour.
Tis the season of gifting and halls to deck, and the Who's in Who Newville were in love with new tech. Where can we find Sonos and Samsung and Nintendo, they shouted. Would they find it in one place? This they questioned and doubted. When suddenly a Who yelled, Walmart's the place to start! And each Who added headphones, TVs, and games to their carts. With Walmart, their shopping was done in a flurry. They cried out, "Who knew?" and ordered their gifts in a hurry. Shop the latest tech gifts in the Walmart app.
This Old House Radio Hour is supported by the Home Depot. You know, if your house is anything like mine, there's always that one project that's just waiting on the to-do list. And so often the only thing standing in the way is not having the right tool for the job. Having that specific cordless tool you need, it just makes all the difference. Well, if you've been waiting to add to your workshop, Black Friday savings are here at the Home Depot. And this is the time to do it. Right now, when you buy a select battery kit from one of the top brands, we're talking Ryobi, Milwaukee, you get a select tool from that same brand for free. It's not just a good deal, it's a smart one. You get the batteries you always need, and you walk away with the saw or driver you've been wanting. It's the perfect way to stock up for all those upcoming projects, or, let's be honest, it's a great gift for the people on your holiday list. Shop Black Friday savings now at the Home Depot. Limit 1 per transaction, exclusions apply. You can see the full list of eligible tools in-store and online. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
O'Reilly Auto Parts puede ayudarte a revisar tu luz check engine, luz ABS o luz de mantenimiento con O'Reilly Veriscan. El servicio es gratis y recibirás un informe con soluciones verificadas por técnicos maestros certificados ASE. Si necesitas ayuda, O'Reilly Auto Parts te puede recomendar un taller. Pregunta por O'Reilly Veriscan hoy mismo.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Lardis. Right now we're answering your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, and my name is Nancy Gilpin. I live in Cockeysville, Maryland, just north of Baltimore.
Oh, Nancy, thanks for calling. What's your question today?
Well, I have a one-story cottage of approximately 600 square feet with an open floor plan, and it's on a concrete slab, and it's in a senior community. And the ducts of my HVAC system are in the ceiling due to the slab. So my question concerns heat, particularly in the coldest months of the year, January and February, when the cold just seems to radiate up from the floor and is fiercely intense. And meanwhile, the heat is coming from the ceiling, but heat property is to rise. So it ends up that my feet and lower legs are cold through those times. And I wondered how to address this challenge, both from the perspective of effectiveness and of cost, because I'm watching my budget.
Absolutely. Well, we've got Heath Eastman, an electrician for the show, and Zach Detmore, a general contractor for the show, and they're both here to help. Zach, what are your thoughts?
Hey, Nancy, I was curious, what kind of floor do you have? So I know you have a concrete slab, but on top of that, what's separating you from it?
I don't think much. I think that
Your
they
shoes.
just put down. Yeah, right. That's about it.
I love it.
Okay, so there's no sort of thermal break of any type. It's just something that's adhered directly to the concrete slab.
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, normally what would you have, Zach? You'd have like sleepers and something down, right? Some break of insulation and then...
Yeah, so we've done a couple, basement jobs where we'll insulate under the slab to really keep that slab from losing energy to the ground. My guess is because Nancy lives in sort of a community, you're somewhat limited with what you want to do. And also because of your budget, you're not going to, consider the Zach approach, which is like, knock it over and start over. So
That's not the solution for today.
So I think there's a couple options, but maybe just to throw them out in broad terms, I would think you've got radiant heat, you've got adding a mini split, and you've got adding a ceiling fan and trying to drive the air movement
Radiant, is that radiant floor heat, you mean?
So the radiant I'm referring to would be a electric cable that is run on top of your existing floor, and then a new floor would be installed over the top of it. Typically, it's tile because I feel like that is going to sort of push the energy up into your feet. But it has the negative consequence of maybe affecting your cabinetry, the buildups in the room. So that's not necessarily a cheap idea, and you'd obviously have to get an electrician involved. But that would help, but it's not perhaps the most affordable option.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good way for floor warming. It's a great idea to kind of take the chill off of that, if nothing else. And they don't use a ton of power, but certainly I think conventional radiance out here, if we have forced hot air, you're looking at installing either a boiler or a water heater or something for that water heat source, and then redoing the entire floor. One of the simplest answers is what you just had, the fan. I think a fan, just getting half of that off of the ceiling is probably a huge help.
You mean putting a ceiling fan in? Is that the idea?
Exactly, Nancy, yeah. Yeah, you can change the direction of the blades and have it blow the warm air right down in the wintertime.
Do you find when you set your temperature in the unit to 70 degrees in the winter, is the thermostat reaching that and holding that, and the heat's coming on and turning off for a while, but you still feel cold coming from the floor?
Yeah.
Zach, that's kind of the nature of forced hot air, isn't it? Especially coming out of the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's a problem because what's happening is you have the stack effect, right? So hot air is going up through this cottage and it's exiting through the roof, and that's creating negative pressure, which is pulling in cold air in probably all the little joints around your receptacles, the gap between the framing and the slab which it's sitting on, and that's introducing that cold air. And it's not until that cold air makes its way up to about 5 foot high in your space that it triggers that thermostat to say, okay, we've dropped below 70, let's pump that on. And then that, as soon as that heat makes its way down to the 5 foot sort of belt line around the room, then that unit's kicking off again. So you could go with a different thermostat that offers the ability to have a remote sensor. So you swap out the thermostat that controls your HVAC system, but you could put that thermostat closer to the floor, and then the system will sense at a lower level in the room. But I do think mixing the air, even if it's a simple box fan or floor mounted fan that you're trying to circulate the air in the room a little bit better, could help.
Does carpet ever heat or help?
It will help because you're trying to separate your body from this cold mass, which is getting conditioned by the earth, which is 54 degrees. So separate yourself from that.
Yeah, the more insulation, the better.
Anti-fatigue mats, cover that whole place up.
Really? Well, it's you can dance. It gets so cold. You feel like keeping moving.
I would start with that, Nancy. Whenever you've got these problems that are hard to pin down, do baby steps into this problem. So I would start with that thermostat. If it doesn't fix it, add a fan. If it doesn't fix it, then look at maybe going with a floor that gives you a better break.
And ask for better slippers for Christmas.
I've got Uggs. I wear Uggs. They're great. But anyway, I do appreciate the help. Thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Anytime, Nancy.
Bye, Nancy.
Bye-bye.
Right now, we're answering your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hello, how are you doing? This is Sonny Rodriguez in San Antonio, Texas.
And what's your question today?
The question I have is about my windows, double-hung windows in a old home and how to best insulate them. I have tried things in the past. I have taken advice and put plastic wrap between the window frame and pushed it in, but, it was only marginally effective, and I'm looking for a more long-term solution, short of replacing the windows. They're antique double-hung windows in a home that was built in 1900, and so they have their issues. But yeah, I do not want to do any major construction, replace them, and I'm just looking for the best way to insulate them.
All right. Well, we've got Zach Detmore, general contractor for the show, here to help us out. Zach, you've worked on many old houses that you wanted to preserve the windows.
Yeah, let's just start off with the big thing, which is you are the first winner of our Homeowner of the Year award that I just made up now for wanting to preserve your house's original high-quality windows and not replace them with some crummy replacement that's going to last another 20 years, empowering the next homeowner to have to start off a cycle of constantly replacing garbage windows and filling our landfills up with garbage when you have perfectly good windows in there that just need some love. So good for you. And our producer, Matt, will be sending you a massive box of Cheetos that I don't know. We haven't worked out the details yet.
Can I stuff them in my windows?
That you can put in your window. Yes. So good for you for asking this question. More people should. So I think you have a couple options, right? The first thing is you can do storms. Now, when people think of storms, they think of these ugly aluminum things that are tacked on and screwed to the outside of the window. But if you have the penchant for it, there are historic storms that would be wood that would be typically installed on the outside. The issue with that is nobody's getting on a ladder and putting these things on the outside of their house. That's a wild thing to do. And energy is too cheap in Texas to really justify you doing that. There are companies that make interior storms. These ones make a lot more sense because they create that airspace, which is actually all insulation is airspace. And they go on the interior. So they would sort of go where that stop material is on the inside of your window frame. So that's another option you have. And the nice thing about those is it's sort of something you can kind of repeat, because the next option I'm going to give you is a lot of work. And that's basically disassembling your windows and going through the process of properly gasketing them. So that might mean cutting slots in them to put weather stripping on the bottom, on the sides, on the back. If you're not looking to go that deep with it, sometimes what I'd recommend is going after the major culprits. Find those windows that are the worst, improve those, and sort of gradually work your way through the house. That's the first thing that comes to mind, but I've been talking a long time, so let someone else talk for a bit.
I think he's gone. He's left.
He went to sleep.
Yeah, he fell asleep.
No, I'm all for option. I'm all for option two. I don't care for the storm windows. Like I said, I appreciate that you understand that I want to maintain the historic authenticity of the home. The AC works great in the summertime, but come winter, it gets so cold in here, it's uncomfortable. And like I said, I tried a couple of quick fixes in the past, putting the plastic wrap in there, but then you have to pull that out come spring when you want to open your windows. And I'm looking for a more long-term solution.
One thing I might recommend is hiring a home audit company. And what they'll do is they'll put a blower door on your house and they'll tell you how drafty it is, and they'll identify why it's so drafty. Because, for example, you might be saying, wow, I'm getting all these drafts through the house and it's coming through the windows, but maybe if you air sealed the attic, you would actually create a more comfortable environment because it wouldn't be sucking in so much energy. So I think I would start with, seeing how much it would cost to fix your windows, seeing how much the storms cost. If those aren't good ideas, then involve an energy audit company and see if improving other parts of your house would allow you to leave your windows as is, and you would still get the comfort benefits from it.
Well, that sounds great.
All right. Thanks, Sonny. I think you've got some serious weather stripping days ahead of you. That's my guess.
That is for sure.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thank you so much.
Right now, we're answering your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Grace Gallagher from Philly.
Hey, Grace. What's your question today?
Yeah, so I moved into an old twin here last year, and the problem, one of many problems I'm having, is that the paint on the interior trim is chipping off in some of the places, like particularly around door jambs and windows. And I'm pretty sure the issue is that the previous owner used latex paint on top of an oil-based paint without priming. But I'm wondering how to start preparing to move forward and prepping it for a fresh coat of paint without stripping the paint off, because the house is 100 years old, so I'm sure there's some lead paint underneath all of it.
Absolutely. Well, to help answer your question, we have Zach Detmore, a general contractor for This Old House, and Mauro Henrique, a painter for the show, both here to help. Mauro, you've seen this before.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day he's peeling.
We don't rap enough on this show, I don't think.
I'm going to start a new thing.
We're going to start.
That's probably a good thing.
So, Mauro, what are the rules of what can go, which type of finish can go over each other and not when it comes to latex and oil?
Yes, this is a thing that I see over and over again. I see this happening. So the old oil-based paint, you cannot apply anything on top of that unless it's oil. If you have this oil-based paint as a first coat and then you apply the water-based latex on top of that, it's going to happen is what Grace just said. You know, it's peeling, it's chipping, and there's a little bit of work to do there, but looks like the water base was on top of the oil, don't work. And it's going to be quite a bit of prep work.
So is there a way to get through this without completely removing what's there? Like she said, she's worried there might be lead-based paint down below.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that she can put over this sort of to remedy it, or what's her next step here?
I think the safest way to do is try to take this coat of paint off. And then once you're taking that out, there's a product that I like. I love it, that you can apply on top of the oil. It's like it's a bonding primer.
Okay.
All right. You apply on top of the oil. All you have to do is make sure the surface is clean off of dust and grease and fingerprints, all that stuff. You apply a coat of this primer, and then you can go on top with everything, anything you want. You want to put oil back, you go up. You want to put the water base, what I think is the right way to do it and the best way to do it. And this is one good solution to do it. But everything
How would I go about...
Yes.
Oh, sorry. How would I go about removing that top layer of latex paint without disturbing what's underneath?
Well, you're just going to be really careful with that, just try to remove with a putty knife, or if you put some very thin coat of paint removal, I think it's going to be your best bet, so you're not going to be dealing with lead paint. If there's,
Okay.
It's quite a bit of complicated kind of a process to do, but is the easiest one. It's complicated, but at the same time, it is the easiest one, better than be sanding.
Yeah.
And then you're going to disturb the old finish, and the lead paint might pop out. So
okay. Yeah.
You might see a little dust. So it's a very slow process, by the way. But that's the only way for you to make sure that paint job will work. And then every time you close the door, it won't chip or peel. So
sure.
So if she peels off as much as she can, gets it off with a putty knife, maybe tries a little bit of paint stripper, gets that top layer off, does she need to clean it with something before she tries the bonding primer?
Yeah. One way I like to do, make sure when you use the nature alcohol, once everything's clean, that cleans really good and also dries super fast. You can clean it up nice. It takes out the paint residue, dust, and everything. Vacuum really well. And then you can use some of those wipes or the nature alcohol. Make sure that everything is nice and clean, and go paint.
And you're saying after the bonding primer, go for latex?
After the bonding primer, yes. You go with the water-based paint, which, nowadays, your paint doesn't smell at all. And for indoors, interior surface, so that's what I would do.
Okay, that's very helpful.
What kind of gloss do you like for trim?
Oh, I was just going to say that the bad news is that the entire house, I'm pretty sure the last painter just came in with 10 gallons of one sheen of paint and painted every surface in the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long process time. Yeah, 8 rooms.
What color is it there now? What color do you have for trim?
It's just sort of a neutral-ish white. Nothing, not too bright, not too beige.
Mm-hmm. Must be one of those leaning white.
I think you need to come in with 10 gallons of bonding primer. Problem solved.
It does. Bonding primer is the best, the latest, on the painting that I found. It resolves a lot of problems.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Good luck, Grace.
All right. Bye.
Without the right exhaust fan, your bathroom could be growing mold. We'll tell you the right one to buy coming up on This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM. It's This Old House Radio Hour from LAist and APM. I'm Jen Largess. Coming up, bathroom exhaust fans aren't just for bad smells. They actually keep moisture and mold away from your walls. We'll tell you the right one to buy with This Old House building engineer Ross Trethewey. But first, we go to Eugene, Oregon. Surrounded by nature and the smell of sawdust, author Rachel Kushner learned to build beauty out of whatever she had. A lesson that still shows up in her work today.
Hi, my name is Rachel Kushner. I'm a writer, and this is my old house. I was maybe a year and a half old when we moved into our house on Harris Street. It was $9,000 total, $900 down. Their mortgage was $90 a month, and that was a huge amount of money to them. The original house was 2 rooms, kitchen, living room, and then someone had added a little addition next to the back porch. It had no insulation. It was just propped over the yard with their basement underneath it. I thought it was built earlier. Zillow says 1917. There was a Masonic cemetery behind our house, beginning at the top of the next block. It felt like I was connected to that cemetery because my room was on the back of the house after my brother moved up to the attic. And there was a strip window that looked out into the backyard. And I remember maybe not exactly being scared, but feeling like my room was connected to the cemetery because it was this direct line between the cemetery and the room. And I spent a lot of time wandering in that cemetery as a kid by myself. When we first lived there, the house was green and it had a clapboard shiplap exterior. It was really degraded and, it rains a lot in Eugene. And my parents had decided to buy cedar shake shingles and put them directly over the shiplap. They are still there on the house. Another thing that is still there are windows that my mother installed in the house because we had a friend who was an architecture professor at the University of Oregon. And he said to my mom, there's a guy who has a bunch of windows from a school in Cottage Grove. They were $5 a piece. And my mom borrowed a truck on a rainy night and bought all these windows. You can see that they're still in that house when you look on Zillow, and they definitely added to the appeal of the house. There are also these French doors on one side, and when I was a kid, we weren't allowed to open them because there was just a drop-off. People who'd lived there before us, the story was that on a very cold winter, these people ran out of wood because the house had no heating aside from wood. Its only means of heat was a central furnace in the basement that had ducts to some of the rooms on the first floor. And it was a wood furnace. You would go down to the basement, open the furnace door, put in the wood, and try to get a fire started. It had an electric fan to blow the heat. And so it was just always this battle of being a kid coming home from school, being freezing, and trying to select a piece of wood that wasn't wet and get it to light. My dad is incredibly handy, but my mom is super resourceful. She always has been and did more of the house stuff She enrolled at our local community college, had a furniture making class, and she knew somebody at the lumber mill, and they were like, hey, we just got this cherry tree. And so she bought this cherry tree and made a dining room table out of it. She was the one who got the idea to make a garden in the back. We had tomatoes, we had corn. My mom would boil the water. My brother would run the boiling water out to the backyard. I would shuck the corn and plunge it in the water. The idea that it was like as fresh as possible. There was this feeling of abundance in Eugene. Even if you are living in a financially precarious, modest situation, our lives was really filled with beauty. And like the natural world in Eugene, it really did feel abundant. We had cherry trees and plum trees, harvested, canned things, froze things, baked things. There wasn't a lot of food to eat in our house. And so if you were hungry, you would literally go in the backyard and eat a cucumber out of the garden or eat blackberries from the alley. We had this profusion of black-eyed Susans all along the garage, and there were Lincoln roses in the front of the house. We didn't plant those. I mean, some roses, if they're happy, they'll just bloom continually, seasonally. And we had lilacs that would bloom so close to the kitchen windows, you could just cut a bouquet. And so that smell reminds me of my childhood. This feeling in Eugene of the incredible abundance of wood as a material that could be used by people of modest means who were doing things themselves. And it all came rushing back to me, like, you know, going to sawmills, planing mills, buying lumber with my mother. That house had a wood floor in the living room. And I just think that's so lucky because the wood was so beautiful. And I remember my earliest memory is lying face down, looking at the floor. And so I must have been a baby because I was on the vertical axis as a baby on the floor. It seemed to me that the floorboards just extended toward infinity. We left Eugene in 1979, and part of the continuity for me that I'm so lucky to be able to enjoy, both my parents are not only still alive, but still just fully into the stream of their life and the one that we have shared together and continue to share. When I talk to them about the house in Eugene, it's vivid for me in a different way than it is for them, but then there are these bursts of incredible overlap. A lot of what they have in their house in San Francisco was in our house in Eugene, almost everything. The wood block in their kitchen is a butcher block that my mother bought from Goodwill or Salvation Army. We had that in Eugene, and now they have it in San Francisco. She still has these broken pots that she traded for green stamps that we used to cook, and she still uses to cook, and the same cast iron skillets. And so there's this continuity. It allows me to remember the house that much more vividly. I am aware that life did not stop when I left there, but I'm also aware that my memories continue in some kind of eternal space. It's kind of incredible to me how strong the desire can be to go back and see a place, which is really a desire to return to a past that is gone.
That was Rachel Kushner. Read Creation Lake, out now in paperback. When it comes to home improvement, making a major purchase isn't just about the price. It's about knowing exactly what you're buying. Every category and product comes with its own learning curve, and we're here to help you navigate it. We'll break down the terminology, walk you through the key features, and point out what to watch for. So when it's time to make that big purchase, you'll know exactly what works best for you. Joining us to go over the pros and cons of bathroom exhausts and fans for your home is Ross Trithui, a building engineer for This Old House. Hi, Ross.
Hey, Jen.
So, Ross, how do you know if you need a new exhaust?
So, well, let's start with one step before that. Most bathrooms in America don't have an exhaust fan. They use the operable window. A lot of people think like, oh, it's there for the odor, for the toilet. But no, the main reason is for moisture. When you shower, you produce a lot of heat and a lot of moisture, and that will wreak havoc on the sheetrock inside your walls of your house, will increase the relative humidity, bad things will happen. So we want to get that moisture out. That's the number one point for a bathroom exhaust fan. And a lot of houses in America still don't have them. But if you do have one and it's vented to outside, not to your attic space, right? So it's really, really important to just make sure that we have air moving from inside to outside and that's uninterrupted. We could do the tissue test. Real simple. Turn your fan on, put your tissue up to it. If it doesn't pull it and hold it there, then you know you don't have proper suction for that fan. Just a real simple test. You don't have to get scientific about it. Of course, you can measure airflow and measure exactly how it's moving and amperage, et cetera. But just a tissue test, DIY friendly. And if it's not working, you don't get that tissue test or there's a blockage, that means you might need a new fan or you might need to get it snaked, cleaned out, or inspected.
And what are the different kinds of exhaust fans?
Yes, the typical bath fan that you see in most bathrooms is a ceiling fan that is in a certain housing. So typically it's a metallic housing that gets mounted in the ceiling of the bathroom. It has a fan built into it. And that fan has the motor that spins and it basically pulls the air and sends it out through that duct system to the outside. The other one is an inline fan. And so that would be like something gets mounted inline in the ductwork between the exhaust termination and the bathroom. And when that fan runs, it does the exact same thing. It spins and it pulls air from the bathroom and sends it outside. And there are pros and cons to both of those options.
So how do listeners know the size they need for these exhaust options?
So the size is typically going to be based on the size of the bathroom and how much moisture could be generated. And so we're looking for what we call air changes. How much air changes can we get in that bathroom over a particular set of time? And so, a good rule of thumb is about 1 CFM per square foot of bathroom. It's usually going to get you an air change every 15 minutes. So what's great about that is that if you run your shower and then after the shower is over, if you turn your bath fan on, within 15 minutes, you're going to get one full air change, meaning all the moisture and all the air in that bathroom is going to be exhausted outside and it's going to be replaced with new air from the rest of the body of the house. And so that's a good way to be thinking about it for the sizing. Of course, bigger bathrooms might need more airflow. Smaller bathrooms might need less airflow. It's usually going to be one air change in a 15-minute time period.
So if you have a small bathroom, but you take really long showers, do you need to size up?
Well, you don't necessarily need to size up, but you might need to run it longer.
Okay.
So what we do in a lot of cases is we put the bath fan on a fan switch that's a countdown timer. So one recommendation I would have for most homeowners is that they usually have a light switch and they often have a fan switch right next to the light switch. And they usually look the same and most people don't know which one's which. But if I can replace that fan switch that looks like a traditional light switch with one that's a countdown timer switch or one that has a condensation sensor, meaning a moisture sensor built into it. My kids used to, before I changed them in my house, my kids would turn, if I was lucky enough, they would turn them on, but they would just stay on forever. I'd be like, who left the bath fan switch on? Why is this thing running? So instead, if you could just put a countdown timer switch in, you press it once, it goes for 20 minutes, boom. After 20 minutes, all that moisture has been exhausted. The bathroom's back to normal, and you could program that however you want. There's different manufacturers that have different time settings. Now I have the ability to say, all right, press it once, it goes for 20 minutes. Press it twice, it goes for 40 minutes. Press it, 3 times, it goes for 60 minutes as an example. So now I can run that fan for a prescribed amount of time to make sure I'm going to get that full air change, get all that moisture out. But don't forget that the fan's running. Getting everything in balance, getting the right size fan and getting controlled properly is key. And I think the controls are the weak point. That's where we see the most kind of variability across the different houses that we see.
And I think a lot of people even turn it off right when they get out of the shower.
Yeah. The residual moisture is there and you can measure it. I mean, it's moist in there. And think about what that's doing to the paint and to the drywall, especially on the back side of your drywall.
Is there a drawback if you're buying a fan and it's too powerful for the space?
If you oversize your fan, then of course you're going to be moving more air than you need to. So it's going to consume more energy, right? And it's going to be noisier, right? Bigger fans generally have more noise. And if it's a newer home, I'd be a little bit worried about depressurization, where you actually, put too much exhaust in that room that you actually depressurize the house, pull a negative pressure on the house, and then you could backdraft appliances, so to speak. But that's only going to be for modern new construction homes. So a little bit oversizing in a traditional house, I'm not too worried about that.
How can listeners make sure that they are getting an exhaust fan that works but isn't so noisy?
Yeah, so bath fans are measured in zones. And so zone is like decibels. It's a level of sound. And the newer units today are going to be under 1 zone of sound. And that is really quiet. When you get above 1.5 to 2 zones, you're starting to get noisier. And then, of course, the 5, 6, 7 zones, forget about it. It sounds like a train going by. So
this is my grandmother's option. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the good thing is you knew it was on.
Yeah,
but
you definitely did.
The quiet ones, that's the downside to it, is that I didn't even know it was on. I didn't even forget. It's on? I didn't even know it was on. It's like, yes, it's been on for the last 3 days.
What's the comparable usage of an older fan, maybe from, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago?
Depending on how far we're going back, 40 watts, 60 watts, 80 watts.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it worth it if you have an older fan, but it passes the tissue test, to maybe consider switching it out for something more energy efficient?
I hate to replace things that are still working, but if you purely were looking at it for the operational efficiency side of it, then yes, you would swap it out. If you have a unit that's consuming 80 watts of power and maybe working a little bit and generating a ton of noise, right? If you could swap that out for a unit that consumes like 10 watts or 5 watts of power, it's going to pay for itself really quickly, especially for a family of 4 or 5. It's getting a lot of bath fan usage. It's going to pay for itself really quickly. It's going to obviously be, like we talked about, much quieter. And I think it's going to be a great way to go. But I hate to replace things that are still working, right? There's always that balancing act of getting that right.
Is there any guidance on where this should be in your bathroom if you're retrofitting? Is where it was where it will be, or is there ever a better placement?
Most builders and most people think that the bath fan should be right above the toilet or in the center of the room.
Okay.
And I would argue that the best place for it is right above the shower. Because if your number one goal is to get the moisture out of the shower, then you want a local exhaust right above the shower, just like you have a kitchen exhaust right above your kitchen cooktop.
Yep.
So there's no better place to put it than right above the shower, so you can get that moisture right out of that shower and don't even have a chance to let it billow and get to anywhere else in that bathroom. And then the second best place for it would be just outside the shower, between the shower and the toilet, so you can get a little bit of odor control and you get a little bit of the moisture control by having that exhaust in that location. Look for the IP classification. So how water resistant is it? There's different ways that these fans are rated to different levels of wetness. So you want to look for one that has a higher classification on the IP certification, especially if it's going to be in a wet environment like above your shower.
I feel like we've come so far and we've learned so much. We appreciate your expertise.
Glad to help. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Ross. If you need help with something in your home, call This Old House Radio Hour's home repair hotline at 877-864-7460 so we can help you. We're nearly at the end of the show, which means it's time for my favorite tool.
Hi, Jen. It's Heath Eastman, the electrician on the show, and this is my favorite tool. Now, I know a lot of you have a use for a knife, and having a pocket knife is very convenient. But a lot of times you might need something else to go along with it, like maybe a small screwdriver or even a pair of pliers. That makes my favorite tool having a multi-tool. So for the multi-tool, I prefer the lighter duty versions for my everyday carry. You don't have to flip the whole tool open just to get to the blade. You simply pull it out of the pocket, flip the blade open, use it to cut open your packages or check whatever else, and put it back. But the nice thing is if I'm somewhere where I need to check something else, where I really wish I had a small screwdriver or a pair of pliers, everything's in there. I have the pliers inside, I have a couple of small screwdriver tips, and it's very small, lightweight, and low profile. I keep this on me every day.
We'll see you next week on This Old House Radio Hour. Our show is distributed by and co-produced by LAist Studios and APM, American Public Media. This Old House Radio Hour was created and produced by Ember 20. Listen to new episodes of the podcast every Tuesday on your app of choice. You can follow This Old House on all the socials at This Old House, all one word. We'll see you next week.
who's down in who Newville were making their list. But some didn't know Walmart has the best brands for their gifts.
What about toys? Do they have brands kids have been wanting all year?
Yep, Barbie, Tony's, and Lego. Gifts that will make them all cheer.
Do you mean they have all the brands I adore?
They have Nintendo, Nespresso, Apple, and more.
What about...
So the Who answered questions from friends till they were blue. Each one listened and shouted, from Walmart? Who knew? Shop gifts from top brands for everyone on your list in the Walmart app.